Hello fellow leggers, it's another brand new year and another Anybody Have a Map?
Volume 13, unlucky for some.
Is this going to be an unlucky one?
Well, it seems like it's quite fitting because we're going to be talking about some of the best, but also... No, we're not.
We're not going to talk about the best. We're talking about the best on our upcoming award ceremony, which is going to be on the 31st of January.
Perfect opportunity for a plug. So 7 p.m. on the 31st of January on our YouTube channel.
It's going live.
Be there. Break a Leggers Awards 2019 video is going live, and that's where we'll be celebrating some of the best of 2019. But we will, in this Unlucky for Some video, be talking about some of the worst theatre we saw in the last year. But, you know, yin and yang, guys. Also, some of the things we're looking forward to the most in the upcoming few months.
In 2020.
2020. Where do we start? I mean, it was a bit of a roller coaster of a year, 2019. Do you know what? There were some really fantastic moments, and I'm really glad that we get the opportunity to share those. But there were some right bloody turkeys.
Yes, and we've decided, so just what you're talking about last year, we've decided to keep the award ceremony going for 2020.
Yeah, so we're going to
We're
have...
in two minds, but we thought, do you know what, why not?
Well, it's a big commitment, isn't it? There's a lot to think about.
Being a legger is a big commitment, as you know.
Tell me about it. And you may have seen we've been on a bit of an extended Christmas break with Anybody Have a Map. So apologies, because we know so many of you like them, and thank you. We really appreciate the fact that you want to come on a journey with us, quite literally and metaphorically, guys.
And these are our worst shows of 2019,
yeah.
And I'm sure you have a list of your top 5 shows that are your worst, so please let us know.
Worst.
Top worst.
My brain.
Your bottom shows.
Your bottom best.
Give us your bottoms.
Give us your bottom
best bottoms.
That's it.
That's what we're going for.
Also, I mean, there's always the risk that we're going to put something in our worst 5 that's going to be someone's favourite show, because
it happens.
Everything is someone's favourite thing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's only fitting that, and these in no particular order, but let's start with a real, for us, stinker of a show for 2019.
Okay.
And that is no surprises to anyone that watches us.
I know what this is.
Only Fools and Horses, the musical.
I knew you were going there.
Yeah, because... I mean, it's just a complete insult, in my opinion, to musical theatre as a genre. It is the very definition of a cash cow, sticking the word musical after a beloved property, the best loved British sitcom of all time, so that you can charge nearly £200 a ticket.
Our review of that has got some of the best comments ever.
Yes.
I've said to Leg Simon that we almost need to do a video of us having a drink and reading out those comments.
Is that something you would want?
Is that something you would want? Do you want to hear
some of the real...
Because we've been proper loved.
They're pretty special. They really are. I mean, it's a good job we're not sensitive. It's a good job, because we wouldn't sleep, I swear to God.
But is that something you want to see? Us reading out some of our favourite comments.
Let's talk about
some of those favourite put-downs.
Let's break it down a little bit.
Well, it's tricky because you can always go and watch the reviews, so it's difficult not to cover what we haven't said.
But let's just
let's get a bullet point. The cast is great.
Yes.
The
source material.
Yeah, I was going to say the content from John Sullivan himself is brilliant, and when they use his already established scenes,
I like Phantom here. Look at the light there.
All that is great. We're not doubting the talent and in the kind of imitating the original characters. It's really done to a high standard.
Yeah. Impersonation is such an underappreciated skill. You know,
and I'm not knocking that.
No.
I don't want to knock any of that. However, it is the musical label.
Yeah.
It's an insult to musicals because the music was awful.
The music is abysmal. Like, it's not just bad. It's almost like it's written by not someone that's never written a song for a musical before. Someone that's just never seen a musical before. It's so forgettable. It lacks musicality in where you've got these iconic characters. The laughs are cheap, and what John Sullivan's writing was witty and had a huge amount of heart. Nothing lyrically in the songs has that level of wit and intellect and character connection. It is just shoddy.
I always wonder if it's almost like the Emperor's New Clothes syndrome. There must be a transposable way, because like I think if you pay up to £200 for a ticket, you're going to convince yourself to have a good time.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because you don't want to admit
you've wasted your time and your money.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be pulling in a certain audience that is
audience,
potentially
I would
not
argue,
a regular theatre goer.
Doesn't know any better.
So for them, it may well be a
don't.
really good show. And so I can't take that out of anybody's hand. If you went along and you had a really good time and you thought, most people seem to think the music was okay.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And for them, that's probably okay.
And I think someone coming at it with the level of experience, and we're not the oracles on everything, guys, but we, since we started the Lego, we're on our 335th video now. And before we started the Legos, avid theatre goers with theatrical training, I like to think that we're coming at it from a slightly different angle. And for us, like I said, it's just not a great musical.
But maybe they know that. Maybe they know they're not putting on a show for a critic. They know their audience, and that's who they're appealing to. In which case, have they got it right?
They've got something
right.
And
if they've got it right and they're making money...
The producers are laughing all the way to the bank.
Well, it's running and extending, isn't it? So
I bet when they wrote it and they went, we've got all this great material, we don't really need to do any much work here. This time next year, we'll be millionaires. I bet that's what they thought. So yeah, Only Fools and Horses the musical has to be on the list.
I'm being blinded here. It's such a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
We're on our way to the theatre. Okay, should we go on to the next one?
Yes.
So that's the top of our list, I think.
I mean, like I said, I don't really want to order these, but that was definitely a shocker. Let's go on to a play next. Let's shake things up a little bit. End of History at the Royal Court.
Now, the Royal Court is one of my favourite venues. New writing. Most of the time, there's times
most comfortable seats in the whole of Theatreland.
Yeah, absolutely, really intimate venue as well. It doesn't feel as if you're too far away. It's not like a huge house either, but they can put some big stuff on there. Had a great cast as well. Who was in this cast?
Who was in this cast? David Morrissey was in this cast.
Who we'd love.
Leslie Sharp was in this cast.
Two
stalwarts of theatre, again with a massive amount of ability.
Yes.
No knocking that.
Now, The End of History was written by
Jack Thorne.
Great credits as well in terms of adaptations. He's done some really good adaptations that we've enjoyed.
Yep. And directed by I can't remember. I've not written it down. I don't know where's your debrief, Ferg?
My phone. Are you going to Google?
But same director as Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, right? John Tiffany.
John
there you
Tiffany.
go. It's just come to me.
Again.
So John Tiffany.
He's been recognised with Olivier's and Tony Awards.
And there's just some again. We try to go into everything we see with low expectations, but when you've got David Morrissey and Leslie Sharp, when you've got the creative team that brought you together as a collaboration, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, how can you not expect
something
a good show?
At least.
How can you not? What we got with this was probably some of the worst staging I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, some of the worst.
Just the directorial decisions in large amounts of the show were just head-scratchingly bad.
It was embarrassing. I was thinking, gosh, how...
And the more I think about it since...
the more it makes you angry.
But do you know what it does do? As a director, it shows me very clearly what not to do. I've learned from it.
And this is what I always say. Yeah, this is what I always say, that you can learn as much from a show that isn't very good from a show that's great. Yeah. So I would never recommend anybody who's involved in the arts to leave a show halfway through, because you're missing out on learning vicariously through someone who's getting it wrong. Yeah. And to be able to dissect it and understand, now, why isn't this working? And the shame is that when I'm in those kind of situations, my head is then creating the show that I want to see.
Yeah, so
you're
watching it and you're going, why are they doing that?
Show.
Why would we be doing this now?
Yeah, and I'd say, now if you're doing that, and then I'd do this instead, and then that would stand out. A good theatrical experience is absorbing. You don't have the opportunity to think about those sorts of things because you're so caught up in it. But when you start directing it in your own head in an alternative way, I think things are wrong. And the clever person learns something from every situation. Yeah. So I think hopefully the creatives learned something from that experience.
It wasn't an abstract piece, it was naturalistic, yet they were barking at each other from across the stage. David Morrissey gave this monologue, which was meant to be really emotional, sat front and centre facing the audience while his family peppered around.
And it went on and on.
No connection with one another. The actors felt like they were just doing individual things.
It was awful.
It was awful.
It was awful.
And the script, I didn't care. I did not care.
Okay.
We like Jack Thorne, and I think where Jack Thorne's magic comes is in adaptation. He adapted Christmas Carol,
which has been coming back year on year at the Old Vic, and is brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But in terms of his writing afresh, I would argue that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, it was based on an idea by J.K. Rowling, and there are plot holes in that piece. It's not brilliant in far as the book goes,
I thought it was okay.
The experience and the telling
visuals,
of the
story
is
great.
Is A grade.
You could argue that that's going to do well regardless, because
the biggest brand in the world, right?
And people are going to want to see it. But they do throw production at it, and there's some nice conceptual ideas with the two parts. And I don't want to go into any more details because there are spoilers in there. So that's enough.
Yeah. But like I say, they've got it right in the past. They couldn't have got it more wrong that time.
The end of history, you won't see that again.
It'll be the end of that show.
It is the end of that show.
Also, let's talk about...
So is this number 3?
Number 3, another play, Shipwreck. And what a bloody shipwreck that was, to be fair. I think I'd have had more fun on a boat crash.
Now, you committed fellow leggers will know we visit the Almeida often.
Try to see everything they do.
Everything, because they do fantastic things. More often than not, their great stuff transfers into the West End.
Yeah, more often than not, it will transfer.
They're fantastic stuff.
But unfortunately, more often than not, is not that they get it right. It's not how often they get it right.
This is what I say. When they get it right, they get it really right, and it will transfer.
World class theatre.
And when they get it wrong, it's the worst theatre we've seen.
Very little in between with the Almeida. And we'll always be honest with you guys. We'll tell you the things that we love, but we'll tell you things we don't. And we've got integrity is a big part for us, so we're not afraid to shy away from what our honest opinion is. And Shipwreck sounded on paper really interesting. Like an audience with Donald Trump is what it was billed as.
Along those lines.
And it was just this meandering, plotless, completely abstract
vision, some interesting dynamic moments and scenes. Quite haunting and cultish in a way at times.
And that's what Anne Washburn is known for. The writer is known to be quite, avant-garde, quite abstract, quite larger than life, paradoxical. She did Mr. Burns, which was set in a post-apocalyptic time where the culture was based around an episode of The Simpsons, because that's what had survived. That pop culture had survived into this dystopian
Interesting
future.
Concept.
Interesting concept. She also did The Twilight Zone, which is known for its completely off-the-wall craziness.
Which again was mixed for us. It's nearly there, not quite there. So I get some really good moments and scenes, good core material.
What was, for you, was there a message? I want to go away from a theatrical experience like that.
Now, who's the actor that we've seen quite a lot? He had some really good...
Fizeo Akinade.
Yes, now he had some really good monologues, and I'd encourage anyone who's looking at monologue work as a young actor to get that script, because I think actually there's some good stuff in there, some good core material.
Yeah, he had a whole piece about his childhood, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's it.
That was the best it got. I
think that was as good as it gets.
I would cut that whole production down to 10 minutes.
10 minutes
10 minutes,
monologues.
no interval.
There we go. That's all I got to say.
So Shipwreck
the Almeida features because it goes up and down.
Absolute shipwreck. Another one that we have in the worst list, actually, and I think it's one that we gave sort of a middling review to at the time, but in hindsight was a massive disappointment, and that's Night of the Iguana.
Again, a great cast.
Oh my God,
Leah Williams.
Clive Owen.
We love Leah Williams.
Oh, we adore her. She's one of the best.
Clive Owen has gone on to do some fantastic screen work, sometimes based on his stage work as well.
Yeah, like
so
Closer.
He's transferable in his talent.
Yeah. And the set was great.
The set was
so detailed, very atmospheric.
I just didn't get it.
It was just boring. Like, I think by and large, it was just like, oh my god.
I think that's the thing with all of our worst shows, is that they're boring. Can't do something to engage and grip us and keep. Isn't that what drama is?
It wasn't enough.
Where we're invested in something.
I think this is a great lesson. Is it's not enough to just have great actors delivering lines. Like, that's not enough that does not a show make, guys.
Yes. Now, was this Tennessee Williams?
Yes, Tennessee Williams. So
it's only one of his lesser
produced works,
and that's not, for some. That's
it's not Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. It's not
Flag.
Streetcar Named Desire, is it? Those are epic scripts. Although the Cat on a Hot Tin Roof that we saw,
what's your experience, Leggers, with Tennessee Williams?
Let down by a terrible female lead.
Yeah, well, I'd like to know what your experience is.
Tennessee Williams, who was writing at a time, a lot of homosexual undertones in a lot of his work, a lot of taboo subjects, and of the time, really challenging. But Night of the Iguana, like, as a story of these people meeting up and some guy wants to tell a poem for 3 hours.
It had a real potential in some of its core elements, but it just didn't land. Did
not land.
And again, there's a great actor come the end of that who had to deliver this poem that we'd kind of been waiting for him to deliver. And when that came, I was so bored. I was like, this is meant to be a work of art. This is meant to be a work of a lifetime.
This is your perfect moment with
what
you.
And
I mean, no wonder he never made it as a poet.
It's baffling. But again,
we might have missed something.
We know people that this was one of their greatest theatrical moments. That they kind of went, wow, this was great.
You fellow leggers, like, if it's your favourite thing, absolutely. And I love to be challenged on our ideas. I love it when people say, did you not get this from it? I love to be able to go, oh, maybe, or
Dance Nation maybe is another video we should read out some of our comments from as well. Let us know if
that wasn't last year though, was it?
No, it wasn't, but I'm just thinking that if you want us to read comments, if we look at doing something like
everyone's just going to go and look at them in that video now, so we no point of us.
Well, sometimes there's enjoyment in us reading them because I haven't gone back to them for a long time, so...
You want to see them again?
Yes.
Okay, also another play which I felt personally like I should have loved. Like, on
you personally
paper,
should have loved.
Yeah, and I think we had the conversation that all the elements were there, and it's considered to be a classic.
What is it?
The Entertainer.
The Entertainer. Now, originally this was a film with Laurence Olivier, or was it a play?
No,
and then they
was a play.
Made it into a film.
Absolutely.
Okay, so great accolades, great cast.
Yeah.
In this original film, this was Shane Ritchie over. Was it in Leicester?
We caught it on tour, and it was a co-pro with the Leicester Curve, and it was originally it's set at the death of the Variety Act, which was much earlier than this production was set, which is in the 1980s.
Yes,
so they transposed
kind of modernised
it. They'd taken it from its original era, from that sort of end of the pier post-war moments, and projected it into the 80s.
First of all, Shane Ritchie is a great talent. I do honestly believe he is a fantastic actor.
Underrated.
And there was some stuff that he was doing when he kind of had these front cloth moments where it was almost as if he was doing a performance.
Yeah, comedy standard routine.
There was like a failing comic as well, so not all of it was working, but he was kind of working that in, and it worked really well, which shows a real higher level of intelligence and craft I thought that he brought to it. So I can tell he's talented.
Well, he was originally a variety act because he was famously a holiday rep. Like a Butlins holiday camp, maybe it was Ponty's, one of those. So he would have been expected to be a jack of all trades, I imagine.
And that
comes across. So you can understand why he was cast in the first place.
But it was just bad. It was the scenes that just weren't good.
Yeah.
And again, there were other cast members who were well acclaimed and just weren't good.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm going to say. That was a big disappointment. It headed out on tour. I don't know if you managed to catch it, fellow leggers. What's your opinion of Shane Ritchie? What's your opinion of that show?
It'd be interesting to see that someone that maybe has seen a different production of it, because we only have ever seen this one production. So I'd be interesting to is it the setting? Is it that what is it?
I did see.
Because it's considered a classic.
following us seeing it, I did see a clip on YouTube of Laurence Olivier, and it was only a 5-minute clip, and I was already captivated.
Right.
It already had a completely different tone, and I was like, actually, I can see how this would have been amazing.
But you don't lay that responsibility at the performer's door, because is it the fact it was Laurence Olivier?
But
what was it that made that magic? That just
and it was
didn't
very
work
edgy,
in 2019?
very dark.
Interesting.
So, and the times were different. There were different commentaries they could make, and some of the jokes that now seemed like uncomfortable would have been acceptable then. So, who knows?
So that's our top 5.
Is that all of them?
Well, the top bottom.
Is that 5 shows?
That's it. End of History, Only Fools and Horses the Musical, The Entertainer, Shipwreck, and Night of the Iguana.
That's 5.
That's 5. Wild cards.
I
want to throw in a couple of personal disappointments.
Okay.
I want us to have one each of a show that we saw that we just think personally didn't work.
I can't remember what mine was. Did you write it down?
Our Town.
Okay, we're going to start with that then.
They're going to start with Our Town.
Our Town was a play we saw at the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, highly acclaimed for its musicals.
Yeah,
like every
Regent's
single
Park
year.
Great musicals.
What have we had recently? Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita,
Little Shop of Horrors.
There's been some great stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, this is our first time there to see a play.
Yes.
And it sucked.
It did suck.
Our Town is like a big acclaimed American play.
It's considered to be like one of the most accurate, engaging and best written pieces portraying American life in that era. They love it. I mean, probably not everybody, but schools do it. A huge amount of productions a year of Our Town. It's one of the most produced plays of all time in America.
Maybe it's just because it's not part of our heritage, our culture, so we're missing something there.
Yeah.
It was dull. It was one of those where I was falling asleep. Again, it's about that engagement. Do something that's engaging. And I found it dull and a disappointing night out. Literally out in the open air, in the cold. So I've got to say.
Personal disappointment.
And what did you think of it?
I just thought it was. I just don't understand from that production why it's so heralded.
So you agree?
I agree.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to be controversial in my choice.
Okay.
I'm going to go for, even though it had some great elements, All About Eve.
All About Eve.
I'm going to go for All About Eve.
Okay,
as a
this is a great
disappointment.
Okay.
For 2019.
Okay.
Because I am getting sick of Ivo van Hove.
This is a personal...
I am just getting sick of a director who has a certain style and thinks, for me, it seems to me like he thinks that works, it's what I do, and now every single production I see of Ivo van Hove as director is, I don't know what piece I'm watching, it could be any of them. They lack so much originality, they lack so much just creativity. It feels like whitewashing, like a wall. Just get the Evo brush out and just Evo brush this piece. And I don't want to. As a result, I'm not excited about any of his work. He's got a production of West Side Story on Broadway at the moment, and the very little I've heard about it, I don't need to see it. I already know what it's going to be like. I don't need to see his work anymore. It's lather, rinse, repeat.
I don't know. I think some of the stuff he does bring some really good elements. He understands it from a director's point of view of really understanding the moments and what makes up the moments that sometimes overlooked. For example, in West Side Story, from what we've heard, there's the rape scene in West Side Story, which is often glamorized or overlooked in musicals.
Yeah, it's
but
not
actually that's a huge part of the piece, which is like you've got to get to that stage for Anita where she declares that Maria is dead. Apologies if anyone hasn't seen West Side Story, but we're presuming you have. And I think Ivo van Hove kind of really doesn't glamorize that at all. So there's certain bits that I'm thinking I wouldn't mind seeing that, but he does strip everything back. He makes it very much about the narrative and the story. All About Eve I also found dull. So I do agree with you on that one, but I don't want to suddenly throw Ivo Van Hove out
Under the bus.
with everything.
I just don't rush. There was a time where I would rush to see, like I would think Ivo Van Hove, and it would be enough for me to want to buy a ticket. I just think I would be a bit more reserved nowadays because I just don't know what he's bringing to the table that I haven't already seen. That being said, at the there were, like you say, fantastic performances in that piece, and I called out Monica Dolan. I said she would get the Olivier that year.
She did.
And she did.
You are very good at calling
I'm really good at calling it because she was spectacular. Like she lifted the entire piece for me to where it needed to be. I wanted her. I would have had more of her. I know it's not in the writing, so what can you do? But I would have had more of her. Do you know what else it didn't do? I've never seen the film, and I still haven't seen the film. Didn't make me rush out and watch it. Still not seen it.
And again, we got a lot of stick for having never seen All About Eve.
Betty Davis is considered to be one of the greatest actresses of all time.
We've been accused of being
she
bad gays,
Meryl Streep,
which I think we can open up to being bad human beings. Bad fellow leggers.
But particularly bad gays, right? Because it's quoted so often in gay culture. You know, All About Eve is this amazing, it's like iconic in the LGBT world because strong female characters as well.
Absolutely. What's your experience with Ivo Van Hove? Are you having enough of him? You enjoyed it, not enjoyed it? He always seems to get a great cast, great leads. People want to work with him.
People want to work for him.
What's your experience with him? What are your thoughts?
I think this is going to be an epic because we haven't even started talking about what we are looking forward to in the first few months of the year this year because nothing has really been announced past August. I think on our list currently of things we're looking forward to in 2020, it goes up to around the end of August, I think.
So much is released in the year.
Yeah, like so much is announced.
We've only got a few things that we're looking forward to. Again, we'd like to know what you're looking forward to. Potentially then things that we should be looking forward to as well.
Yeah, so maybe there's stuff that slipped past us by because we like to think we got a finger on the pulse, but we've got lives as well. You know, we've got so much going on that sometimes things do pass us by. I want to start with a show that we have been, there's a revival in 2020 and we have been championing and begging for 2 or 3 years now, you know, maybe over 2 years, and that is Albion at the Almeida. Finally!
It's so we saw Albion, we went in with kind of mediocre expectations. It was absolutely fantastic. Since then, every time we've been to the Almeida Theatre, I think we've commented on every single review, Almeida, please bring back Albion. Almeida, please bring back Albion. In every single review.
Always said it was good, but it's not an Albion.
Absolutely. And last year, or was it this year? When was it? I think it was the end of last year. They announced that they're bringing it back. So we'd like to say it's all down to us, of course, because it's their first time.
It's under Rupert. It's their first revival.
Okay.
Also, it's a bit.
Thanks, Rupert.
It's a bit unusual for them to revive something in-house, like not transfer it onto another stage somewhere, because they've taken things to the ambassadors within recent years a couple of times now, and also the Duke of York. So I thought if it would come back, it would come back in that larger house. But you know what? It makes perfect sense. If you see it from a production point of view, it makes perfect sense for it to come back to the Almeida.
Because it's a lovely intimate venue, lovely intimate. The thing that made it was the performance of Victoria Hamilton.
Yes,
who
really made it.
The piece is good. It's okay. Like I just don't want to beef up your expectations too much.
I mean, I think we already have, considering every single Almeida review we've been talking about it, and you might go and hate it. Sorry if you do, but you're right. Great. Victoria Hamilton gives, and I would hand on heart say, one of the best stage performances I have ever seen.
I was gripped by her. She was fantastic. You will know her from, I recognised her from Dr. Foster. She's also in the first 2 seasons, I think, of The Crown on Netflix as the Queen's mother. So she's recognisable as an actress, but as usual, you know, you just see them in these small little bit parts. It's only when you get to see them in a lead role, working with some fantastic text, with some fantastic drama, that you're like, wow, this is an amazing actress. She was brilliant. That's all I gotta say.
Every time I think or talk about that production, I feel thrilled, and I'm reminded of that beautiful staging, some of the most, honestly, almost bringing you to tears in silent, quiet moments with atmospheric music. The directorial decisions in that piece are amazing. Mike Bartlett is the playwright. I mean, he has done some great work before. What's the most recent thing we saw of his and was absolute tripe? Oh, Vasa.
Vassar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
another Almeida.
But
down.
When he gets it right, he gets it really, really right. So yeah, that's a top tip.
Can I just ask you, fellow leggers, then, what pieces you want to come back? What revivals do you want to come back? For example, and I said this to you earlier, Groundhog Day, the musical, I want to come back. It was only had a tiny little stint on the Old Vic, at the Old Vic. Never been seen again.
Well, it went to Broadway and flopped, so I think that's probably made them scared.
And it was brilliant, and it got recognised as well at the Olivier Awards.
It won the Olivier Award for Best Musical that year.
It needs to come back. It was brilliant staging, brilliant music. The work of Tim Minchin was brilliant. I'm just saying. So, fellow leggers, what do you want to come back? Okay, thank you.
Great. Let's go on to a musical which I think has had some mixed feelings about it from what I am reading, and that is a brand new production of Hello, Dolly at the Adelphi Theatre. I say mixed feelings because people acknowledge that it's a great... I mean, I've seen it once before, and to be honest with you, I didn't much enjoy it, but
I've never seen it.
It is considered to be a great musical. Jerry Herman, and iconic in many ways, but there's been quite a bit of criticism
on a piece by him
already, and I don't like this much when somebody makes assumptions about someone in a role without seeing their performance in that role. And people are saying they worry about Imelda Staunton's what she's going to do and her ability to play Dolly.
Yes.
And I think it's a little bit unfair, if I'm going to be totally honest.
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because I guess the producers are riding on the back of the success over on Broadway. Who is it? Bette Midler. Bette Midler.
Yeah. Although this is a new production, it's not that
this
production.
This is what I'm saying. The producers are probably banking to ride on the back of that success. Because who was the half a sixpence guy that also went over and did it?
Charlie Stemp.
Charlie Stemp went over. So it's like people know about it. It's in people's consciousness as a successful production.
Yeah.
So I guess people are comparing to, and I know at the time people were like, oh, that production needs to come over with Bette Midler, with Charlie Stemp. It'll be great. Have we now just got a second-rate production?
Do you think that's the worry?
I think that's the worry, and I think so. Maybe Imelda has it against her from the word go because it's not that production and it's not Bette Midler.
But Bette, like you say, I think in our current mindset, it's her, but it's also iconic in the original. Carol Channing, and who can forget Barbara Streisand in the movie, which I think more people will have seen than they will a stage version of it. They will have seen the film Hello, Dolly. I remember it being on BBC Two at Easter, like for years in my childhood. Okay. I never watched it, but I remember it being on. Barbara Streisand got a lot of criticism for playing Dolly at the time too, as she was considered far too young for the part. But what Barbara wants, Barbara gets, right? I mean, who's going to argue with Streisand when she's banging on your door saying, I will play Dolly? That was it.
However, it is Imelda Staunton, and it is an iconic piece, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It's not just Imelda Staunton, though. It's also Jenna Russell.
Oh, it's a fantastic talent.
It's also Andy Nyman.
Wow, he's doing really well, coming off the back of Fiddler on the Roof, which had a really long successful run.
So lots to look forward to, and I say, guys, give Imelda a chance. Who knows? At least she's the right age to play the role.
Yes. Now, technically, a kind of quality of a fellow legger is to not judge and hate, but to go in with an open mind. So, fellow leggers, let's go in with an open mind.
Let's be a good fellow legger.
Yeah, let's be a good fellow legger.
Talking about fellow leggers, people have been buying our mugs.
Have they?
Thank you.
Yes, they have. Thank you to all you people.
We're so thrilled at all
many
of you. So many of you that have bought our mugs. And we're going to put on screen a few pictures of you using your mugs, which we've asked for. So thanks for being a fellow legger. It fills us with such joy when you want to take a mug to work with you or enjoy a drink from it from home and declare yourself as a fellow legger. We worked really, really hard to bring you these videos, and the fact that you're enjoying them, and we've created a community. You couldn't believe how much that means to us.
Yeah, because that's what it is all about, I guess, for us, is to find like-minded people who enjoy theatre, who like to talk about theatre, who want to know about what's going on in the world of the arts.
Warms our hearts, warms our arty hearts.
Our arty hearts to know you are filling us with hot drink.
Let's talk about another play that I think we can agree that we're both looking forward to in 2020, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, talk to me about this cast.
Well, I mean, at the moment we only have one person
Okay.
Been announced.
Yeah.
Playing Atticus Finch is Rhys Ifans.
Ooh,
and
okay.
he's a great actor.
Now I'm looking forward to this.
Probably best known for playing Spike in Notting Hill, right?
Yes, I think so. The reason I'm looking forward to this, again, is because recently they had a revival over on Broadway, which is highly recognised.
This production.
Oh, is it this production?
So it's a
well, there
Broadway
we go.
transfer.
Well, that's why I'm already happy, because it's...
Directed by Bartlett Sher.
Yeah.
But interestingly, it's not pitched or billed, and there was a bit of like a legal challenge thing going on, because it's To Kill a Mockingbird,
right.
But it's not Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a new play,
right,
written by Aaron Sorkin,
okay,
which is based on Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird.
So Harper Lee have the original rights, I imagine.
Yes.
Right. So this is a new adaptation based on that.
Yeah. So based on that novel, but it's a play written by somebody else, so it's a little bit confusing, to be honest with you.
Either way, it was highly recognised at the Tony Awards recently.
It got 9 nominations, won 1.
Okay, nominations are enough.
It got 9.
That's enough. Recognition is enough. It's not all about the winning.
No.
Sometimes
So
it's
take
just
it by
about
the counts.
just being up there. So I'm really excited for this.
Yep. I mean, it's timeless, it's beloved, it's a story of racial injustice, childhood innocence. It's always considered to be gritty and to be one of the greatest novels ever written. You know, it's got a lot going for it already. Yeah. Harper Lee's original novel won a Pulitzer Prize, and I think the best supporting actress in a play was Celia Cohen-Bulger, is it?
Don't talk to me about names. You're the name person.
She's the sister of, I love him, the Broadway little guy who was in Newsies.
Yes, I know the one you mean.
He's his sister,
okay.
Keenan Bolger. She is playing the young girl in it. I don't know the piece all that well, but she was the only one that won a Tony.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her. Further casting to be announced.
So.
I wouldn't be surprised if she came over.
Let's see who we can get in this cast. Watch
also,
this
Gideon
space.
Glick was in the cast, I think.
I'm pretending I know who that is.
Original cast of Spring Awakening. He was unceremoniously fired from Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. When in early previews, there were so many incarnations of that, it changed so much in that show. They had a geek chorus, they called them, who sort of acted like the narrators for it, and sometime in preview they just completely cut the concept. So a lot of those actors went, and Gideon was one of them.
That's tough.
But he's great. I've got a picture. I should try and find it out. I probably won't find it out. I've got a picture of me and Gideon.
Okay.
When I was a young whippersnapper, stage door Johnny.
This is already a long video, so let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to a musical. In fact, we're going to do 2 more musicals in a row.
Okay.
First one, out of town tryout, Back to the Future, the Manchester Opera House.
Oh, and that's been talked about for a long time.
It
Originally, didn't they have Jamie Lloyd was penned to it as
he
a
was
director?
meant to be directing it, but left the production due to creative differences. I could only imagine that the handheld mics and the cardboard sets were a step too far for them.
Jamie Lloyd, you'll know, fellow leggers from Serrano de Bergerac recently with James McAvoy, Evita at the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, which is going over into the Barbican and some of his productions. The Commitments was one of his a long time ago. Kit Harington with Dr. Faustus. Jamie Lloyd is pretty big stuff.
He's
Betrayal
one of the
with
biggest directors in the West End.
Betrayal, who was that with? Tom
Hiddleston,
which has
which
again
went
gone over
over
to
to
Broadway.
Broadway.
So he's big stuff.
Oh, he's really big
However,
stuff.
he dropped out of it.
Yeah,
he said, no, I'm not going to, whatever artistic differences were there. And we thought that was going to be the end of the project. However, they've pushed on.
They have pushed on, and I've got to say, I am as excited about it as I am completely and utterly terrified, because it is, without a doubt, my favourite film of all time.
Many people, it's iconic.
Yeah, there. For me, I was only talking about this to a colleague at work yesterday who said they'd never seen it.
What?
I was saying to her, it has got everything, that film. It's got comedy, it's got romance, it's got drama, it's got action. It's
got a kick-butt soundtrack.
It's got the most
the score is
incredible
fantastic.
score. I mean,
Silvestri, isn't it?
Yeah, Alan Silvestri is the score, whose other film scores include Ready Player One, Forrest Gump, Avengers Endgame, and the whole of the Back to the Future trilogy. it's just perfect. For me, that film is perfect.
And when you think perfect, you don't always think musical.
Music, you don't always think, let's put a song and dance routine,
Especially
let's do
one
a tap number.
It's like sci-fi. It features car and action sequences and
special
lightning.
effects.
Especially, you think, no, this is a medium very much
You don't think
for the
stage
screen.
adaptation.
You don't think so. Interesting to know what they're going to do. We're going to be seeing that in February, I think it is.
End of Feb. We're catching
up
that
in Manchester at the Opera House, and they're looking at transferring, although the details we're not sure.
So we
of
know
yet.
it's going into the West End, but the house hasn't been announced yet. Do we know what's going into? I was just thinking about this earlier. Do we know what's going into the Gillian Lynn when School of Rock closes?
Oh, see, the Gillian Lynn is a really interesting space. So that could be a.
But what's your bets, fellow leggers? Which theatre do you think that Back to the Future might hit? So even though scary stage adaptation of one of the best films ever made, it does still have a lot going for it, and one of those things is an amazing cast. Like, seriously, some really big talent in it, including a Broadway legend.
Okay.
Roger Bart has been cast as Doc Brown. Now, he originated and was Tony nominated for his role as Carmen Gia in the original production of The Producers.
Wow.
He's Mel Brooks. I think comedy is his thing, because he's also Frederick Frankenstein in the original production of Young Frankenstein. He has got Broadway credits, a list as long as your arm, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a treat to get him over.
Great.
First and foremost.
Okay.
In the lead part of Marty McFly is Ollie Dobson in his first major leading role, but he's gorgeous. He's a matinee idol and he's got a voice that could melt butter. Also in the cast is, again, another voice that's absolutely a turn on. Cedric Neal playing Goldie. We saw Cedric Neal in The View Upstairs.
We did.
And his songs were really powerful and beautifully sang. And another Ollie, Oliver Ormson.
Our good friend Dolly Ormson
is in the ensemble, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's been announced who's understudying what yet, but if he's not understudying Marty McFly, he absolutely should be.
Yeah, I reckon he'd be a good
because
fit.
he's such a, like, when I think about him, I could imagine that iconic, you know, the Marty McFly tank top, the life preserver. I could imagine him wearing that, and he would be Marty McFly.
Okay.
He would absolutely be a Marty McFly.
Good.
Other things it's got going for it, of course, that score, but songs also of lyrics by Glenn Ballard. Glenn Ballard currently having success with Jagged Little Pill on Broadway, which everyone's raving about, you know. I've heard such good things about it. One of the best albums ever recorded, let's just agree with that.
Okay, have they got a cast recording for that?
They do have a cast recording of Jagged
Whereabouts
Little
would we be able to find
Pill.
that?
You can find it on Spotify.
Okay,
Yeah.
so have a listen for
Do you
the
know what?
leggers.
We'll put a couple of the songs in the playlist for this video.
Okay, there
So
you
there
go.
you go. So
Tell
check
us what you
out
think.
our Breaker Leggers. Anybody have a map playlist on Spotify? Volume,
Yeah.
I don't know what volume it will be, but the most
13.
recent one. That
Yes.
one. And I also want to talk about Huey Lewis and the News did a couple of songs for Back to the Future film. Both of them are going to be in the musical, including Power of Love and Back in Time. But I'm going to quiz you.
I don't like quizzes.
You're so good at retaining information. How could you
not.
possibly
You're
not?
the information person.
I know.
I know nothing.
I'm being sarcastic. Huey Lewis and the News also had a song featured in another musical based on another sort of property, which we caught at our... So I'm going to ask you which musical. We caught it at one of our
Rubbish at
favourite
quizzes.
London venues, and it also transferred over to Broadway, where it was a complete massive flop. Name the musical.
Actually, this is pretty straightforward. It's American Psycho.
American Psycho,
Yes.
yeah. With the Huey Lewis and the song Hip to Be Square was featured in that.
Gotcha.
Because I think it's featured in the book. Have you ever read the book?
No.
By Bret Easton Ellis?
Never.
Nor me. I've seen the film.
American Psycho?
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen the film and the musical.
We really liked the musical.
It was good. It had Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Was it just after his Doctor Who days?
Yeah.
Or was it in the thick of?
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a very good leading man.
He really was, yeah. I'd like to see him back on stage in a musical. I know we saw him in Lungs recently.
We did.
But he was good. He's not the best singer in the world.
No, but
what
he
he
could
lacks
hold
in
the
ability,
tune.
he makes up for in sort of has this a bit of an aura.
Demeanour.
About him.
He has
His
his real
demeanour.
class,
He sells
doesn't he?
it well.
Yeah.
Just selling it, guys.
It's
Sell
really
it.
bright, isn't it? It's
Isn't
either
it?
bright or dark. But hey,
it's no
at least you can see our lips, fellow leggers.
Like I say, I felt like Phantom very much today.
This video's a long one, right?
Isn't
We're
it?
talking about so much. Okay, what
Right,
else are we
last
talking
but
about?
not least then.
Is this the last?
Is it the last? Yes!
Okay, we got there, Leggers.
Another musical that we're looking forward to in 2020, Prince of Egypt.
Oh my goodness, what a big one to finish on.
We're not booked in yet.
This is a huge one. DreamWorks.
Yeah,
this film was epic.
1998 movie of the same name.
1998.
It's having its world premiere full production at the Dominion Theatre. And I say world premiere full production because it has had a lot of workshops and sort of one-nighters or short runs on its journey to the West End. At one point, Darren Criss played the lead, which is interesting.
Who's Darren Criss? What I know
Glee.
from? Okay,
you know him from
the Versace.
The Murder of Gianni Versace. Yeah. He's a great actor. Now, if you don't know, it tells the biblical story of Moses, who grows from a baby, set adrift on the Nile by his mother, but goes on to become the saviour of the Hebrews and rises up against the oppression of his brother Ramses.
Anyone who's been to Sunday school, you know these stories.
Yeah. Music and lyrics, Stephen Schwartz.
Yes.
His other credits include Pippin, Godspell, and of course Wicked. Mm-hmm. He's never won a Tony though. Isn't that ridiculous? He's never won a Tony.
He's never done, and yet his music is great.
Yeah.
He does some great stuff.
He does a cast of 38.
That's an epic cast. I'm glad with that. Although with the big cast also comes a big ticket price.
Yeah, the top price tickets for this are not cheap. But there's ways and means, guys. Like, there's rush tickets, I'm sure Today Tickets will do something. There's day seats. You find a way in if you want it. Luke Brady is playing the lead. He was in Sweeney at the Adelphi. He was also in St George and the Dragon at the National. We've got Liam Tamney, Christy Alado, who was in Hamilton, Alexa Kadimi, who's got loads of credits, including Book of Mormon, and Debbie Currup, who we love.
Yes.
Gorgeous actress, fantastic voice, tons of ability. She oozes star quality.
Yeah.
She was in Blues at the Night.
Blues in the Night.
And Girl from the North Country.
Yes.
And also, and it's nice to see him back on stage in a musical, Gary Wilmot.
Gary Wilmot's great. He's been going for years. Well, he's on London every single year in pantomime. Yeah, he's a great talent, so we could see him in something else.
Yeah, I'm glad Gary is back in a big show.
So that's a big one to look forward to. Yeah. Is that our list?
That's it.
Okay.
That's the list, guys.
So, fellow leggers, that's what we're looking forward to. They're the things that are worst.
Things.
A few things. Like I say, there's going to be so much being announced as we go through the year.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes up.
Crazy light today. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about
that.
But
guys, as always, we love to hear from you. So let us know. It's fine to agree with us. It's fine to disagree with us. It's just our opinion, but it's all about you. Check out our playlist for this. We'll put in a few of our favourite musical theatre songs and some songs from some of the things we've spoken about today. Also, follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram.
Because we do some behind-the-scenesy things. We do some short reviews of stuff sometimes. Maybe we see a concert. We love to take you along with us on our Insta stories and on our feed. So check us out on Insta.
Don't forget, the 31st of January will be the release of our 2019 award nomination. It's not even nominations.
No, it's the ceremony.
It's the
digital ceremony. We pick the winners. It's in the can already, guys. We can't tell you who wins it.
Yes, it's been recorded. It's just been edited, and we're going to throw it out at the end of January. So
check it out.
Make sure you check out for that. That's it.
We're the Breaker Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.